that, which is my favorite one. But when you teach in that in philosophy, you tend to get some students with a little more interest, so they're a little bit better than most classes. But it's still, you really cherish the students that give, any kind of effort, because most students are just absolutely bored or just go through it to get an A or whatever. The whole game of the university is summed up in those statements. But yeah, I remember I'd had him for a long time, and he was always in the front middle and asking all these questions, and I was talking to him, and then he just told me one day, because we were talking in the Eastern, we were talking about Eastern metaphysics in that part of the class, and how there was this substance in Hinduism called soma. Nobody knows for sure what that, and that's interesting, soma, because that's what Aldous Huxley uses in Brave New World for their super Prozac-like substance to control the people. But anyways, in Hinduism, soma was it seemed to be some kind of psychedelic that aided meditation, but nobody's exactly sure precisely what the ancient Hindus meant by that term. But so we were talking about that, and then he came and talked to me after class, and started just telling me the story. Let me just start over since I was going so fast. He said that this really inspired me, this story. I mean, I'm a diehard Buddhist, as you know, and so you'll see in a minute why it did. And he says, he was just some, punk kid in high school, and, didn't really care about much, and just, give me my TV and I'll sleep through school tomorrow. That kind of attitude, so many kids have.
Yep.
So then he said it was ecstasy, which surprised me, because that's a synthetic. I tend to have the Terence McKenna attitude, where it would seem that, the natural plants would be better. But anyways, it was ecstasy that he had taken. And so he said he just had these really holy, he said happy feelings. So he walked out of the party or whatever he was at, and out to the back where there was a swimming pool. And he said all the air was sort of tingling like it was made of electricity and sparkling gold. And I thought that was really interesting, because that has tie-ins to some basic Buddhist mystical experiences. And then he said across the pool on the other side was this alien that was also kind of like made of the glowing material. And he said something to him, and I can't remember what it was that the alien said. But yeah, and then he said after that his life was completely changed forever. And, it was only 5 years or so since the experience, but just really interesting. He became really interested in things, and he knew he wanted to study philosophy, and he changed completely. So I thought that was really an amazing story, to say the least. And a lot of people will, sorry?
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you recall, when you say this alien entity, listen, you need, everybody's drumming up in their mind a visual of this thing holding a Bud Light, and it's a gray alien. But it might not have been. Do you recall how he described it, if it was, or some other entity?
He said it had a big head with no hair, and that's all I remember. His main thing was, that I remember, this was several years ago, this conversation, the main thing I remember him is saying it was made of the same material as the air that was sparkling and golden and sort of made of light-like sparkling stuff of some sort. So no, I don't remember that specifically. But one thing I should say here quickly, a lot of people will say, oh, this is just horrible, we're talking about drugs. Now, that's not necessarily true. All the religious traditions have substances that they use to get in line with the holy, or what I would call the intelligent designer, the creator behind everything, the experience of nirvana. That's what I would call it. And but the Rastafarians in Jamaica, they use marijuana. Pot's kind of a dumb word. Actually, so is marijuana. Hemp is a good word. They use hemp, as a spiritual substance, and it really is. There's that movie, Super High Me, anybody who hasn't seen that, I strongly recommend it. It's so wonderful, about that comedian who goes out, and you may have seen it, John, he basically does the same thing as the Super Size Me movie, where the guy ate McDonald's all for a month and almost died. He basically does the same thing with hemp, smoking. And so he does none for a month and then does it constantly for the next month. And I mean, his sperm count doubled when he was on it. His intelligence level went up. I mean, everything was more positive on it, except one thing.
Yeah.
His lung intake decreased 2%.
Huh.
pretty
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah.
so all these religious traditions have substances. Strictly speaking, you were talking about the blood sacrifice, John, last week.
Yeah.
Amazing. I played that clip on my show
did
as
you?
well. It's such a powerful clip. But strictly speaking, the blood of Christ, the wine, Jesus changed water to wine. That would be the Christian substance.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not totally sure. Maybe some people are more expert on that are listening, but very interesting how all these. So I mean, it's not. A lot of us have been conditioned. Oh, drugs and blow. We've heard this on TV. Dare your kids to not do drugs. All these bumper stickers, all this junk. All that, of course, just fails. It just promotes it. For psychological reasons. But I mean, we need to get past all our programming and realize that our egotistical, everyday, ordinary consciousness is not a spiritual one. Okay, it's violent. It's prone to brainwashing. It needs to be adjusted. And the two best things for doing that are, prayer and meditation. I would sort of put those in one camp. And then another camp is, some kind of substance to help yourself out. In my book, Telementation, I described a couple, like certain kinds of teas will relax you. I even said chocolate, pure good chocolate. I wrote Telementation.
Yes.
Really relaxes and calms you. I mean, those are the kinds of that I personally seek, ones that just really make me calm and feel good, like anisay, the herb, or some people call it anise. And that, it's very calming. It's good for meditation. It's good for, feeling all this love that you have within you for other people, because that's what we're ultimately made of. But so I could go on, but what do you think about all this stuff I'm talking about?
No, that's awesome. I love all of it. I was enjoying just sitting here listening to you, man. I tell you, I'm big on chocolate as a relaxer, but I also weigh 360. So what does that tell you? I have nothing against chocolate whatsoever. But no, as far as the drugs, I'm a McKenna fan where all natural. I think that what seems to happen when you take synthetic drugs is for that experience is you do tend, it seems. Now, I haven't done enough research, but it seems like I come up across research that is always talking about aliens, alien abduction. It's kind of a harsh, metallic, edgy side to the experience, whereas when you do a natural, you tend to see dwarfs and winged angels and such. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. I told Todd over at Global Star, I said, man, go ahead and we're not going to take calls tonight. And go ahead and take an hour and 15 minutes off, man. We've got it. And he's like, well, somebody's got to mute us when breaks are on. But I hardly say anything. I usually just sit here and make some notes. I know, Jeff, you had your computer just crashed, so you were trying to restart your computer.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. Hey, you were talking about meditation and stuff and some, hallucinogens and stuff. Let me share, folks, a technique that I use to meditate and also I use the same exact system to, before I douse. And it's every time I've shared it with other people, I mean, it's one of the most, profound changes that they'll have. They write me this all the time. It changed my life. It changed my meditation. I go deeper. I go, all that kind of stuff. And folks, what it is, you just close your eyes and you, in that darkness, you just do a large capital cursive L with a light. Just imagine it over and over. And after you do it a few times, then start, as you finish up the L on that descent, then go ahead and turn it into the top of the L. And so you just continue to do the L into another L into another L, but as you notice, it is descending. And you can visualize this, and as it descends, so will your state, and you'll go into a peaceful, bliss, and it happens rather quickly. And you can get down there really